Hello friends. I would like to welcome you to the third lecture series of Unit 2. The discussion point that we are going to cover in this lecture series is risk management decision techniques. In our previous class, we have already seen the various aspects relating to risk management. We have seen the risk financing techniques in a little way, and that is risk transfer techniques and all that. Now we will study in detail what are the various types of risk management decision methods. If you consider the alternatives of risk management decision techniques, there are two categories. The risk management decisions are of two categories. First category deals with the controlling of risk or risk control decision mechanism. And second one is, if at all risk happens, how to finance it. These are the two important decision techniques that we take up while managing the risk in the organization. In this lecture series, I would like to continue with the risk control decision methods and risk financing decision method. Risk control decision method we have already seen. It is the first phase. Every organization will try to avoid the risk. That how to avoid the risk. Suppose if you find there is a kind of a flood near the on the bank of the seashore, or on the seashore, or on the bank of the river, if you find the flood is probably happening, you stop constructing house there. This is protocol as avoiding a risk. Not to construct the house where the flood happens, not to construct the factory where the fire happens, not to construct the what you call as the storerooms or a kind of production units where the earthquake happens frequently. So this is what we call as avoidance. This is what we call as avoidance. Avoidance technique is possible only when you have an alternative other than the risk places. If you find that the non-risk places, you can avoid constructing the factories, buildings, or premises where the earthquake happens, flood happens, fire happens. But if you don't get any place, all the places are subject to get damages, earthquake or any kind of thing is possible, you cannot predict. In such cases, you cannot adopt this risk avoidance method. It is one of the decision of avoiding the risk. Next one is, if at all you have to construct houses near the place where the fire may happen due to lightning, then prevention method has to be adopted. In this case, you have to try to prevent the earthquake, the lightning or the kind of the fire possibility in the premises by using certain advanced techniques like a lightning receivers or arrangements, or fire extinguishing arrangements. That is what we call as prevention method. The third one is risk of loss reduction method, where you are trying to reduce the loss if at all the risk happens in the organization. So these are the three important methods of decision making where a risk is controlled. Risk is controlled. I think each one of the method we have studied in detail with advantages and disadvantages in the previous lecture series. Like for example, we have already seen risk avoidance method, where risk avoidance method is possible only when you can avoid the risk. For example, flood losses can be avoided by not constructing the building in the or plant near the flood place. Uh, or what called as a pharmaceutical firm that markets a drug with a dangerous side effects can withdraw the drug from the market to avoid possible legal liability. All these things are called as avoidance. If you find that an employee who is appointed will damage the organization, avoiding the person is not appointing that fellow. Don't appoint such a people who can damage your organization, who do not have perfect knowledge of management. If you pay the salary and keep them on the job, they will mislead the organization or mismanage the organization. This is what we call as avoidance. The basic advantages of this avoidance that we have already seen, the possible risk factor can be made zero by avoiding the risk. It is high safety one because the risk never happens. But the disadvantages is the firm cannot be able to avoid all losses. It is not possible. How can you understand that the place where the factory you are supposed to build up is not having a kind of fire or earthquake and all that. So sometimes it is difficult to predict that particular thing. Second one is loses business opportunities if all possible risks are avoided. If you avoid all the possible risks, it is very difficult to utilize the opportunities. For example, every employee whom you are going to appoint is found to be trustworthy and doubted on that. Some good quality people may not be used for the business, so you may lose an opportunity. So this is what we call as avoidance technique has a disadvantage of this. Second one also, risk loss prevention method. It refers to the method adopted in preventing the loss by following certain precautions. So for example, precautions in loose contacts and all that in the wiring system to avoid the fire, or constructing the house with a so light material that even if earthquake happens and parts fell on the floor will not make any damages. So this is how you can prevent certain loss or risk of loss prevention. You can do it. The basic advantages that we have already seen in the previous classes: firms can explore opportunities by preventing possible losses, helps to implement preventive actions for anticipated losses. These are all things. Disadvantages also we have seen: maintenance of the preventive measures may be costly many a time, because the preventive measures like using a very light material for construction may be very costly, where the construction cost may be twice the ordinary construction method. Or if you are using any kinds of fire extinguisher and all that, if the fire does not happen, investment in fire extinguish machinery will become waste. So like that, it is risky that you have. Possibility of failure of preventive measures may incur risk. Sometimes if the failure of preventive measures, sometimes maybe because you have kept a fire extinguisher machine and you have not used it for a long time, and fire comes in, and at that time when you start using it, it may not work. In such cases also it is possible. These are the possible disadvantages. The third one is risk of loss reduction method, where the loss can be reduced. For example, fire extinguisher may be kept in the petrol bunk and cinema talkies to reduce the loss of the fire. On another example I had given in the previous lecture, that a ship which is sinking is need to be protected by throwing certain heavy materials in it, which are low cost but heavy weight can be thrown in the sea, so that ship can be made sailable on the seashore and reach the seashore. So this is what we call as reduction of the loss, because you are compensating or incurring certain little expenditure to control the big loss. This is what we call as loss reduction method. The advantages are supposed to reduce the loss. It helps to support to reduce the loss. Second one is help to anticipate the possible risks and control challenging situations. It helps to control the challenging situation. If you have a little investment for anticipated risk, and that you can use it at the time of the risk happening. But the disadvantages are cost of maintenance of loss reduction units, timely use of support system may reduce the risk. If not, huge loss may happen. So these are all the disadvantages. Now we will discuss in detail in today's lecture series the point connected to risk financing decision method. There are three ways that we already seen in the previous lecture series also. Financing risk. Financing risk in the sense, here you are taking to take up the risk and try to manage it by financing the risk. Risk financing refers to funding techniques when risk happens and incurs. It is the method of handling the loss. There are three methods or techniques widely used in financing the loss when the risk happened. They are risk retention decision, risk transfer decision, and commercial insurance methods. Risk transfer decisions are non-insurance types. They are called as non-insurance. Commercial insurance methods are called as insurance contracts. So what are these? Let us understand with the advantages and disadvantages and conditions where they are possible. Risk retention method is a kind of what we call as method in which the firm retains the loss fully or partially. This kind of technique is used in such a situation where the company cannot transfer its losses fully, or can transfer partly loss either because the total loss is quantifiable or frequency of the loss is very low, where company may find it feasible to retain than bearing the insurance contract. In this case, there are certain kinds of the losses which the company will not transfer, it retains it. Even if the risk happens and loss happens, the company is going to pay out of its reserves or try to maintain out of its collected accumulated funds instead of transferring it. One is the risk is so quantifiable. In such cases, when the quantification can be done, how much loss is incurring, and in that case, if at all the insurance contract is taken and outsourcing of that particular loss is made through insurance contract, insurance premium will be very costly many a time to the company, and the frequency of the loss is very low, where the loss possibility is very low. In such cases only company will retain the risk. For example, whenever they buy the asset is subject to get damaged or needs repair after a few years. Say for example, if the machinery life is 5 years, and after continuous use of second year, on the second year if the machine comes for the repair cost will be hardly 10% or 20% of the cost of the machinery. Suppose if you buy a machinery for 1 crore, you are supposed to incur the repair cost of 10 lakhs or maximum 20 lakhs after second year. In such cases, if at all company probes that this can be repaired from the outsource from the within amount, it will not outsource that to any external party, because if it is outsourced, the premium charged by the external party for this kind of loss mitigation would be higher, more. In such cases, the company will take a risk of the loss and try to undergo the repair for the machine out of its own funds. So a repair fund will be generated every year out of the profit and loss account, and that money will be accumulated. If no repair happens, the company will have an advantage of utilizing this reserved money for its business. If repair happens, it will spend out of the reserves. So this is what we call as loss retention method. There are two types of risk retention possibilities. One is active retention, another one is passive retention. There are two types of retention of risk. One is active retention, another one is passive retention. What is active retention of loss? Where the firm knows the possibility of the loss and purposefully it retains because the loss retention is more beneficial than the cost of the insurance. For example, depreciation reserved to sustain the obsolescence of the machine after few years, reserves for doubtful debts, etc. See, most of the reserves are created actively in order to see that the cost of the insurance for mitigating these losses is sometimes more, therefore actively involved in retaining the loss. Passive retention, on the other hand, where the firm is unable to trace the possibility of the risk. Many a time, the firm is unable to trace out the risk and estimate the financial loss. Example, the company may not anticipate heavy rains and flood, does not calculate loss on insurance. Most of the catastrophic risks are passive risks. Many a time, the company may not anticipate that particular loss happening, because it will not come to know that it is going to affect. In such cases, no insurance contract is taken out, but the company in such cases may anticipate, may find that any uncertainty which is creating the loss for the organization, if it all has to be phased out, certain kinds of funds are raised, that is called sinking fund. If the company is sinking because of any unexpected tragedies, unexpected catastrophes, unexpected the situations, then sinking fund will help the company to float it during that particular time. Like for example, flood. Who has anticipated the 5 years back that the coronavirus is going to kill the lot of people and is lockdown will come down, and because of lockdown the business of the organizations will get into loss. So this is unexpected. So it is a passive retention. The company does not retain it purposefully, but unfortunately it comes into the hands of the company only because company has to make certain arrangement to sustain these losses. This is what we call as passive retention of losses. Normally, the conditions in which the retention is possible, why the company will not transfer it to third parties or under a non-insurance contract or insurance contract, the basic reason is no other treatment of the risk is possible in this case because of the passive risk. If it is there, you may not be able to understand that. Second one is worst possible loss is not serious in case of active retention. If it is concerned, worst possible loss is not serious. Even if the machine goes for repair, replacement, it is not a so serious expenditure. The company can keep certain profits in the form of depreciation reserves and use it for the obsolescence after 10th year. If the machine works after 10 year also need not require to replace, it is an advantage for the company. So this is how the worst possible loss, if it is not so serious, the companies will normally retain those losses. Retaining in the, it will not share it with others, it will face on its own. Third one is losses are highly predictable and manageable. If the losses can be highly predictable, it will be managed by the company on its own. Like for example, repair cost, normally insurance will not be taken for repair of vehicles and all that, because possible repair for every year will be a minimum one. If you take an insurance, the premium would be waste if at all no repair is taking place on that particular time. This is how we call as predictable loss and manageable loss. If it is financially calculated, the amount of the loss possibility, then no such transfer of the risk is made. It is retained by the businessman in his business. Ways of financing the retention risk losses. How the retention risk losses are financed. One is paying the losses. The paying the losses in the sense, if at all the loss happens, the company is paying those losses out of its current net income, unfunded reserves, funded reserves, or credit lines. These are the four different methods of what we call as paying the losses. Paying the losses in the sense, if the loss is suffered, say for example, if the repair happens, it is a loss. If the repair is estimated and if it happens, it is a loss. In such cases, the repair cost will be met by the organization out of the current net income. How it is current net income? The loss is credited to the profit and loss account and the current income is used to fund the loss. Second one is unfunded reserves. A floating reserve is kept to sustain such losses. Third one is funded reserves. A specific fund is prepared to cover the anticipated loss, such as reserve for doubtful debts, depreciation reserves, etc. Fourth one is credit lines. The credit agreement is made with the bankers to pay out the risk losses out of credit facilities, if at all overdraft and all kinds of risk, for especially for reserve for doubtful debts and all that will be made, where the credit is taken by the banks, loan is taken by the banks, and mitigation of the loss is made to recover that particular risk. Second one is captive insurers. The firm will create their own insurance parties. Captive insurance in the sense, their own insurance parties will be created. This is not a kind of external insurance contract. It is within the organization insurance contracts. For example, a big companies like Bajaj, Barclays, or ITC and all that, which organization is having a multiple sister concerns, will create a captive insurance fund to mitigate the loss of any of the sister concerns of the organization. Like for example, the Crompton Greaves company, which is having the fan manufacturing, transformer manufacturing systems, and also the mixers, grinders, televisions, and all that, used to conduct a kind of research and find out which company is going to undergo a loss. That loss is mitigated out of the captive insurance fund created by the Crompton Greaves. This is what we call as captive insurance system. Or otherwise, captive insurance can also be a pool of funds from the concerned industry, factories in the industry, where the loss is common and damage into all the factories coming under the industry. Will make a common fund and try to manage this. This is what we call as captive insurance method. The captive insurance method is classified into two: a single parent captive or association of group captive. The example of Crompton, Bajaj, where the sister concerns are being are there, where the common fund is created, is called a single parent captive. Single parent captive means only one partner who is principal firm for which executive exclusive finance is made to manage the risk of losses. This is called as a single parent captive. Association or group captive in the sense where the number of firms together, for example, if they find that there will be slowdown where the financial support to be made for the employees working in that particular industry, several companies will come into common this one. For example, the government, for example, makes a common what you call as employee welfare fund, where all kinds of employees, irrespective of the departments, whether they are working in postal department, railway department, or defense department, all that common industries will be made one common uh, reserve fund to mitigate these kind of this is called as association for group insurance captive insurance, where the common pool of funds are made where the loss is mitigated. From each employee, a contribution is collected in the form of insurance. It is not invested in any other insurance companies. The industry itself, the government itself will keep it as a compensation fund. A compensation fund is created from for all the different departments, not for one single company. This is called as a association or group of captive. For example, private owners of telecommunication department, where the Reliance, Airtel, and BSNL all put together will make a common fund to tackle certain kinds of a common losses happening to telecom industry. It's called as association or group captive system of retention of the risk. So this is one more advanced methodology today that most of the companies are trying to manage, fund their risk, that is financing the retention of the risk retention method. Reasons to form captive insurers, mainly why the captive insurers are made, why the company may not put into insurance contract, or why it is not going to pay out of the reserves and all that. The basically reasons, there are four important reasons why this kind of things are being made is difficulty in obtaining insurance contracts for most of the cases. The losses may not be addressed by the insurance companies. If the loss is negligible or way too much heavy, most of the insurance companies will not come forward and compensate for this loss. For example, you cannot, no insurance company will give you insurance for loss of credit sales. If the credit sale is not repaid by the employee, what you call as a bad debts, most of the insurance companies will not compensate for the bad debts, because bad debt is a very big funda. It depends on the ability of the company to recover the funds. If it fails to recover, in such cases, insurance companies also will not come forward to compensate. In this case, for bad debts and all that, the captive insurers are to be compulsorily created, or the internal sources are to be compulsorily managed. So this is one of the reason. Then another one is lower cost in managing the risk. The risk management, the expenditure is incurred, the loss is so meager that going for a insurance contract or with the outside contracts agreements to meet the loss is not so lucrative. It is not so profitable because your premium itself would be too high, too huge. That is the reason. Then third one is insurance contracts through captive insurers, reinsurance contracts through captive insurers. The captive insurers themselves will have the reinsurance contracts, which is more kind of helpful because it reduces the cost. Then fourth one is earning additional profits by applying funds in other business opportunities. Still, manage risk emerges in principal firm. That is earning additional profits by applying the funds. If at all you take a contract of insurance, the premium what you have paid will go to the treasury of the insurance company. It will not be retained within you. So in this case, companies, what they find is, if at all the insurance premium that they are paying outside is used by themselves in the business and additional profit is earned out of that, if at all loss happens, the total amount of the reserve that is being kept for meeting the loss would be increasing exponentially in the organization by multiple investments. That is, additional earning happens to that particular thing, and they will be under profit. They think that instead of going for an insurance contract where the premium is an expenditure, instead of that, reserve is created, and the reserve money is being utilized for the business for future portfolio, so that will enhance the company's profitability. So it is beneficial to the company. That is why the captive insurance contracts are made into existence. The last third one is self-insurance activities developed by the risk bearers by their own contribution. Example like group health benefits, employees pension plan, etc. Self-insurance in the sense here, no third-party insurance is made, no outside. See, I am not going to insure the employees amount with a life insurance corporation, or I am not insuring with the ICICI Lombard. If I have 1000 employees working in my business, and if at all I am creating any kinds of what you call as the risk of the employees for their health related expenditures, or death benefits to be given to the employee before the retirement, or pension of the employees has to be made. So I have 1000 employees, and each employee is ready to contribute 10% of his salary for every month, where the normal average retirement time of the employee is for 20 years in the organization. So what the companies will think, what I think as a business person is, instead of collecting the money and paying it to life insurance corporation, I will implement the self-insurance system in the company. What is that self-insurance? All the employees, 10% of the salary is collected. If there are around 10,000 employees in the organization, and average collection of each employee salary, average salary of each employee is 1 lakh rupees. Say for example, 10,000 rupees, and the total amount is 1 crore, 10 crore rupees. 10% of that is 1 crore. Every year I collect 1 crore. Every month I collect 1 crore rupee from the employee and invest it in a stock exchange scripts or in mutual funds, and go on investing it continuously, so that yields maximum benefits. Any employee who is suffering with the health issues will be paid hardly 0.5%, 0.25% of the contributed money. So that is beneficial for me. And at the time of retirement also, I can pay them money back to the retirement fund pension, where the accumulated fund will go on generating more returns. That is what we call as self-insurance. It is not insurance with the external one, inside one only we will do that. This is a third method of financing internally. So these are the various types of ways of financing. The one is paying the losses, second one is captive insurance, third one is self insurance. These are the three important methods or ways of financing the retention of losses. In the examination, question will be asked, what are the different ways of financing the retention risk losses? Okay. Now we would like to discuss the next aspect, the advantages of retention method and disadvantages. Most advantage of retention method is to save money. It is help to organization to save money instead of incurring the premium paying to the outside party and all that. The same amount can be used in the business itself, and additional fund can be generated, and loss can also be mitigated. Second one is lower expenses. You can reduce the expenses and increases cash flow. Quick finance is possible. If at all is an insurance agreement, if at all any mishap happens, insurance company has to investigate the loss, estimate the loss. It will take 6 to 7 months to compensate your loss. But in case of internal retained losses, quick finance can be made. Easily you can replace the asset, easily you can compensate the loss of the employee, something like that. So this is more advantageous as compared to external insurance contracts or non-insurance contracts. The third was, the disadvantages are difficulty to managing higher losses. If at all any loss is very high, the company cannot sustain that loss out of its own created funds. For example, the sinking fund is being created where the loss can be mitigated. If the loss is too heavy, unexpected loss, like for example, if the gas turbine of an industry burst out and the poisonous gas releases in the air and the people staying surrounding the factory dies, the company has to compensate the loss to all these people. In such cases, company's total assets are deficit to pay the losses compensation to the outside people who are damaged or caught or affected by the poisonous gas. So in this case, insurance contracts are more beneficial than any kinds of retained earnings or retaining the losses in the company. Second one is higher expenses due to heavy risk. If at all heavy risk or lapses, no tax benefit. Another problem is tax benefit is not there. If you are paying a insurance amount, corporate tax is released to the extent of, is reduced to the extent of the premium that you are paying out. 10% or 20% of the total premium that you can enjoy as a benefit in the tax benefits. So tax rebate is possible for insurance contracts, but retained losses will not have any tax benefits. So this is what the problem is. So now we will understand the another method of financing the risk, that is the one is a retention of the loss. Second one is non-insurance risk transfer techniques. Non-insurance in the sense here insurance contract is not made, but contracts which are going to compensate the loss are made. They are not insurance contracts. These methods include transfer of the risk or losses not in the insurance way. In this method, contract is made with the agencies to compensate the loss. For example, guarantee of products, warranty contracts, annual maintenance contracts, etc. While you are buying the machine itself, you are buying the machine based on the contract basis, on the guarantee basis. 10 years life of the machinery if it is guaranteed. An additional fund has to be paid extra to the supplier of the machine. And if at all machine has any repair or any kinds of damages within 10 years, whole loss will be met by the repair cost, and replacement cost of the machinery will be made by the supplying agencies or buyer sellers of the machineries. So this is one best example of non-insurance risk transfer. Here the risk of loss or repairing or replacement of the machine is in the on the heads of the supplier, not on the heads of the buyer. So organizations are free from these losses. Then second one is warranty contracts, annual maintenance. For example, every year the computers and all that, normally banks will go for annual maintenance, where expenditures relating to regular maintenance is avoided. Once the contract is made with a certain money, any kinds of damages to the parts and all that will be directly replaced by the service providers. They come to the organization, check the machine on frequently basis. Any machine which is not functioning, its repair and all that will be made at a free cost. Annually they charge certain maintenance allowances to the banks. So this is the best way of transferring the risk, where you are not supposed to get into any kinds of problems. So the advantages and disadvantages of this method, to certain extent it is advantageous, to certain extent it is disadvantages also. The basic advantage of this is the financial losses will be dealt by the agencies. One is external agencies. So you don't have to spend money or incur expenses for maintenance and repair of the machinery and all that. The second one is firms are free from the loss arising out of the risk, any risk arising losses and all that, the firm is totally free. Expert knowledge of agencies can be used to manage the risk. Another one is the expert external authorities. In case of maintenance and all that, annual maintenance and all that, the computer engineers who visit the factory or visit the bank will give the guidance how to maintain the computers up to date, and what are the tips and what kind of softwares will stop coming, stop the kind of viruses or duplication of files and all that. So such instructions will be given and employees are trained on the machineries to work effectively. This is more advantageous. So because you will have an expert person who is assisting you in maintaining your machineries, equipments and all that, and reduce the loss. But there are certain disadvantages also for this non-insurance risk transfer techniques. Their risk reimbursement will be subject to the option of agencies. Risk reimbursement will be subject to the option of the agencies. Whenever agencies are free, having the time or having the funds, they will compensate. If the agencies are in a trouble itself, because in this COVID situations and all that, no agencies will come with extra mile and help you out. So this is what the problem happening around. So you don't have your own funds to spend for that. Even if you have your own funds, if you spend it, it is a loss. Therefore you have to depend on agencies to provide the services. Till then you have to maintain the problem in the organization. So this is one best problem. Second one is settlement of loss will be delayed. Settlement of the loss, if at all any machinery burns out or any computer burns out in the bank due to heavy supply of power and all that, settlement will be a problem. So agencies efficiency has a direct impact on the risk management. So you have to rely much on the efficiency of the agencies. This is very difficult. The last option of financing the risk in most of the organization common is insurance contract. What is insurance contract? We will discuss in the next module. Insurance contract itself. What are the different types of insurance contracts? There are two types of insurance contracts. One is life insurance, and another one is general insurance. General insurance is the most common contracts in most of the businesses that we undergo. The contract is made with what is insurance contract? It is an agreement between the insurance company and the client, that is the insured and the insurer, where the insurance company agrees to compensate the loss happening to the insured company for a amount called a premium. The insurance companies will pay the incurred losses arising out of agreed risk, in fire insurance, for example, or ship insurance, voyage insurance, cargo insurance. All kinds of insurances are available today, where if the loss happens, the insurance companies are going to compensate, for which they charge a certain money called a premium. If no risk happens in most of the general insurance cases and all that, premium will not be paid back. If any loss happens, the companies are compensated with the amount of the loss by the insurance companies. So the basic advantages are protection against the losses arising out of the anticipated risk, is a one basic advantage. It reduces the fear of the risk or losses. The companies can be easily work with the machines and all that if their insurance is up to date, need not get it. Suppose for example, if you are driving on the bike, if your bike is having insurance of both third party and the vehicle insurance, if at all any accident happens, the person who is hit and dead will also be compensated, and your vehicle repair will also be compensated. So you are totally free from that particular risk if it is insured. Then third one is loss control. In most of the cases, the losses which are happening out can be controlled by the insurance contracts. The fourth one is premium is subject to tax rebate. A very important advantage of this insurance contract is any amount of premium that you pay in corporate world, the corporate tax rebate will be made for that. Employees group insurance, if at all you take and have an agreement with the companies like insurance, the general insurance, or with the life insurance, or ICICI, or State Bank, SBI insurance companies and all that. So the amount of premium what you pay is subject to get the taxes. There are certain hidden disadvantages also in this insurance contract. One is premium normally heavy for high risk losses. If the high risk does not happen, whatever the premium you have paid is an expenditure that you have to forego. You have to lose that. So high premium for high risk is one more damage. If at all you do not insure and the risk happens, you are supposed to incur loss out of your own profits. If you insure and the heavy loss happens, it will be compensated. If you do not, if risk is not happening, whatever the premium you have paid becomes the waste. So this is one disadvantage of this insurance contract. Second one is a negotiation on terms and conditions of insurance contracts. You are going to negotiate on terms and conditions of the insurance contract. So is a disadvantage, because while negotiating, you are going to compromise with a certain amount of losses and all that. And if that loss happens on which you have not made any negotiation, so you are supposed to incur those problems. For example, when you insure a kind of a vehicle or vehicle where the terms and conditions that you discuss is accident made up with the hitting the third party in the transportation in that particular road. If the no accident happens in that road, but in the other road when you are going out, you hit to a particular stone and vehicle gets damaged, insurance will not be covered for that, because it is not accident with the other vehicle, it is in accident with the stone, and that on the different road. So in such cases, if the negotiation is not covering these kinds of things, then it is going to create the loss to the company, even if you have incurred the insurance premiums. So most of the time insurance contracts will go waste if the terms and conditions negotiated will not fit into and will not compensate for the loss. The third one is non-financial losses are not compensated. In this case, non-financial losses are normally not compensated, only the financial losses. Non-compensation losses like delay in payment of the contributions, or mental stress, worry, all that kinds of things, they are not controlled under the insurance contracts. So these are the various kinds of methods of maintaining the risk financing decision methods. So we will discuss the remaining aspects like selection. Okay, next one is selection of risk management method. What are the how to select the risk? This is one more point that I need to cover in this lecture series only. Selection of risk management method. Which method that we can go for, whether to retain or loss prevention or insurance or avoidance, which one is more suitable in which circumstances. I made a table just to clarify the situations, the matrix of risk matrix properly. If you understand what is the risk matrix contains four important columns. One is a type of the loss frequency, third one is loss severity, and third one is appropriate risk management technique. Type of the loss, the first loss, for example, if the loss happens, first loss, if the loss frequency is low, the type of the loss where the loss frequency is low, loss severity is low, then you can go for retention. So loss frequency in the sense the possibility of the loss is very low. The severity of the loss is also very low. Then you normally go for retention. An example, if you buy a machinery, repair of the machinery by continuous use of the machinery, the loss is frequency is less, low frequency. Loss frequency is less because it happens twice, once in a 2 years. So frequency is low. Then severity of the loss is also very low. If at all any repair has to be made, either you have to replace a one particular part which is continuously under work, and you have to incur the repair cost, that is the labor cost. Only this much is that you are going to incur. Normally we do not go for insurance contract or any kinds of things. So we do a retention of that particular loss, and we compensate that loss out of our earnings only by creating a repair reserves or debiting it to the profit and loss account, like that. For example, if you have printer in the office and printing repair will come, printer repair will come, normally you don't go for any kinds of insurance contracts for that, because the loss is low and severity is also low. So therefore you go for retention. The second type of a loss where the loss frequency is high and loss severity is low. If the loss frequency is high, loss severity is low, then you go for loss prevention and retention again. Again, you go for retention where the loss frequency is high frequently. For example, the uh, printing machine where the printer that you are using, cartridge is getting over every time. Whenever you print 1000 copies, the cartridge will go empty. You have to replace the cartridge, and the loss severity is low. What is the amount of the cartridge, the price that you are going to incur? What is the risk? They hardly 1000 rupees. So for that, if you have to take insurance contract, you have to pay 500 rupees insurance premium. Within 2 years, within 2 years, the total value of the cost will be the premium price that you are paying, irrespective of the loss happens or not. So that is what the problem is. So frequency is high, but the severity of the loss is less. Severity means the damage of the loss is very low. In such cases, we go for prevention method. The third type of a loss where the frequency of the loss is low, but the severity is very high. Frequency is low, severity is very high. The loss will be very huge, that we commonly go for insurance. An example is if you buy a vehicle, car for transportation, truck for transportation, and the loss frequency, that accident is very low. It will not happen so easily. But once it happens, the damage will be very high, because the people involved in the accident, how many people will die, we do not estimate. That is the high risk. Therefore, we don't retain such risk. We normally go for insurance contracts with general insurance companies and all that, where we pay huge amount of premium, but we take up the loss on the safer side. So this is how we call as. If at all you do not address it with the insurance company and retain such kind of losses, if a huge damage happens, your organization will get collapsed. That is why you have to go for insurance contract if the loss frequency is low, but the loss severity is very high. And the fourth one is if the loss frequency is also very high, and loss severity is also very high, try to avoid such kind of situations in the organization. Don't go for it. You know that it is the land where the earthquake is quite common to happen, flood is quite common to happen, fire is possible to happen. Building in factory at that particular point is a stupidity. Even if you have taken insurance contract also, frequency is high, loss is high, but many a time you will incur huge amount of losses where insurance company may not compensate. In that cases, you have to go for avoidance. So these are the various things that we have covered in this method. In the examination, question will be asked, discuss the various methods or various risk financing decision methods, or you will be asked questions relating to risk control decision methods, where risk financing decision method or risk control decision methods. Please explain this with advantages, and what is risk avoidance, what are the advantages and disadvantages of risk avoidance will be the discussion. Like that, you will be coming across a lot of things relating to. So I thank all the students for your patience listening, and we will see the remaining aspects in the next class. Thank you. Thank you, friends.